Hi everybody. Welcome to Hyderabad Platform User Group June 2023 Meetup. Welcome again. And today we have a session by Gulshan Shubham. He's a Microsoft MVP and MCT for business applications, and he works as a senior advisory consultant at IBM. He's an expert on Dynamics 365 Business Central and Dynamics Nav. So, thank you so much, Shubham, for joining us here today and giving this session on tips and tricks in Dynamics 365 Business Central.
Thank you, Ritika. Thanks a lot for inviting me to this session.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
so I should get started then.
Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. So, Ritika has introduced me very well. I'll straightforward go to the topic. So, the topic for today is tips and tricks in D365 Business Central. Now, as an expert, as an intermediate user, as a novice user, we all use Business Center, let's say, and we are learning in every phase. But there are few things which you can use in daily life when you are presenting demo to the client or when you are searching for an issue and you are just doing a transaction. In all these cases, if you know few tips and tricks, it is always going to help you. Now I have a list of few 7 to 8 tips and tricks. I'll straightforward go to those tips and tricks and then I'll demonstrate you in system as well. Now, the first tip is tell me. Now, it is very common. We know tell me, it's as simple as a search bar. We used to have it in the previous version as well, which is called NAV. Now, what is the difference here? Why I'm highlighting it as a tip? It is very generic. When you need to go to purchase order, we open it, we go to purchase order. But the difference here is why we haven't called it search bar like we used to have it in nav. We are calling it tell me because when we ask something, it doesn't just give us that page or that report, it gives us many things. The first thing is, and one of the things which got introduced as a part of tell me is additional search or in layman's terms synonyms. For example, we are used to call item as item because in our product it is named as item. Our client is named as customer, then vendor, so we are used to these terms. But let's say we are implementing it somewhere and the client is used to calling items as product. Okay. Now they're used to doing this. And when they will open the system, they will search for product because they're used to do that. Now it is very good that if we have something very easy to do that, okay, instead of items, let's search for product and you will get what we have in the system, which is named as item. Okay. Similarly, for example, we have assembly. But in market, if you go, assembly is known as kit or kitting. So what if I search for kit and I'll find assembly? The page will be named as assembly only, but even if you search with the word kit, you will find assembly. Okay. So I believe this is a very powerful thing which has been introduced and it gives everyone, even the client, a sense of personalization. So I'll straightforward show you how this works. And I've given 2 examples here. And for search bar, for tell me, the shortcuts is Alt plus Q. And just to keep in mind, Business Central by default is providing 200 search alternate words. And even if you want to inject more, it is very simple to do. As a functional, if you want that, okay, I want, let's say, if I type SKU, my item should be visible. Then you can go and ask a developer and you can say that it is just a property. You just have to put a property. That's all. It will hardly take 2 minutes. So it's important as a functional consultant to know how it is happening. So that if the client asks us, then we can say that, okay, we can put this synonym because it is very simple to do. It's not very complex. Now, let's go straight to the demo. Okay. This is India localization for Business Central. I have named the company as Dynamics Private Limited. Now, this is the tell me, which is the search bar. I'll go here. And what happens if you type items? We get items. Okay. Now, what happens if you type products? We get items. If you see in the product, there's nothing which is matching with the word items letter wise, but still because we have this property, we are getting this as items. Let's say we type here kit or kitting, let's say. We get assembly setup, assembly orders. Now, earlier in nav, this was not there. It is as simple as searching the incremental search. But here we have this property, and due to this property, we are getting this. Okay, and you can inject many more into this. For example, I cannot open Visual Studio here, but I'll show you quickly. So let's say here you can see that I have designed a page, which is a custom page 50110, and the page name is testing unique key page list. Now here, the page type is list. Being a technical, if somebody can understand, it's very simple. Whenever you want to create a page, you list the page type and all. One thing additionally, you can say here, highlighted as well, additional search terms. And here I have typed, I love D365, search me please. And with a comma, you can add multiple, and whatever you add, if you search it in the search bar, you can find it. So keep in mind what we have added. I have added two words for this page, which is testing unique key page list. I love B365 and search me please. Now if I go to the next slide, here I'm searching search me, and you can see this page again with the second one. If I start, you can see the same page in the list. Okay, so being a functional consultant, don't be shy. This is something very easy to do. Go to a technical and say that, okay, my clients needs it. Please do it, because it is very simple to do. This is how Microsoft has done it for us. Okay, so this is step number one. Now, one more thing would tell me. Let me go to here. Let's say I am on sales order page. Okay, now what it does, whenever we search anything, in nav it used to search the pages and the reports. Okay, here it can search for actions as well, and it is very handy because sometimes what happens, it's unlike the ribbon view which we used to have in NAB. Here we have the menu view, and sometimes it becomes difficult whenever when we're giving demo to the client to find something. For example, if you go to here, we go to functions, if you go to related, then you have another, then you have other. So it becomes sometimes not very easy to find. So here what you can do, if let's say if you want to find shipments, you go, you click here, and you can say on current page. Under this section we have shipments. If you click here, it will open the shipment associated with this order. I can say this order is not posted, the shipment is not done, so it will not open. But if you have selected a particular sales order, and if you're not able to find an action, the quick way to do this is go to tell me, type that word, and you can find the action. Okay, so I believe these are the two things and very major things which differentiates it from what we used to have in nav. Okay, so this is step number one. Now let's move to tip number two. Okay, this is force BC to run a table. Now in nav, as a functional also, we used to go, whenever we used to study a table from the background, we used to just go to development environment. We open a particular table, we run a particular table, we see it. Because from the development environment, it is very easy. We don't have to go to SQL and see what is happening, and if we need to learn about any data. Now in Business Central, we don't have anything in Atlas on the Business Central SaaS version, which is going to be the future. There's nothing called development environment on the side like we used to have, or the object designer. So here, what if we need to run a table, and that table is a system table? Because usually what happens when we need to see a table, when we need to see the data of a particular table, we go to configuration package. I believe this is the most handy tool we use often when we want to read data from table. But for system table, as you all know, we cannot go to configuration package and put that table. It will give you an error that, okay, this is a system table. So in this case, what to do? Now, and also many a times what happens, even if there are few pages, those pages are blocked by administrators. For example, there's a page called table information, and that is being used by administrator to see what table is consuming how much data. And from that table, you can even see the data. But mostly I've seen on the client side, that is something which belongs to the administrator, and administrator always blocks the execute right for that. And let's say a very simple example, we all use permissions. This is a use case which I'm going to show. uh, my requirement is that I want a list of all permission sets with all permissions included in it in a single sheet. Now, how it currently happens in Business Central out of the box. We go here. Let's say this is D365 accounts payable. This is a permission set. If I need to see what are the permissions included in it, we go and click on permissions. Okay. And here we can see all the permissions included. But this is not something very user friendly if someone from the top management or the administrator point of view wants to have a look in a single view, because he will have to go to each permissions, click and then view it. Okay, so we need to find a table in which all this information is stored. And what is that table? We click here, we go to press Control Alt F1, which is inspect the pages. And here, if you see, if I click on this, this is the table. Okay, you can see metadata permissions. So how to inject this and how to read this table provided other accesses are not there. In configuration package, we cannot use in this case for the system tables, let's say. Okay, so if you see here, I have just put another table. We can just put this table as well, but this was a better example. So what you can do here is, let's take this one itself. Here, if you see in the URL, there is the businesscentral.dynamics.com, then your tenant ID, then your company name, the instance name, and then the company. Okay. So here, after question mark, you have to delete the complete URL, remove the complete URL after question mark, and then put table equal to the table ID and press enter. Let's see what we get. Okay, so now you can see I have the role ID. All the IDs present here and the list of all the objects in it, whether we have the execute permission or not. If this is a table, then read, insert, modify, delete permission, indirect, direct, whatever it is. So in a single page, I get all this data and this is what I need. So this you can do for any table. Just you have to make sure that after this, as I've shown in this example, after this, your company name, your tenant ID, and then question mark, then you have to put table equal to the table ID. And you can force run that table. Okay, because in many scenarios, I have personally used this and I believe it could be useful when you want to work on some data and you don't have access. But again, keep in mind that I'm talking about if you don't have access to this table data through permissions, then definitely you cannot execute it. But let's say a page which is table information, on that the execution right is blocked, then definitely you have the right to access this table because it is not blocked. You can go and read this table. And that you can do for even a simple table like customer and vendor. Okay, so moving quickly to the next one. Okay, my notification. Now, this is something which I have personally felt as this is quite underutilized in the system. We all see notifications when we close a sales order, when we release a sales order, purchase order, any document, we see a lot of notification. But we don't know from where to handle it, from where to apply those filters. For example, I'll show you that as well in my demo. Let's say I opened one sales order and without posting, I created it. I updated the headers and lines, and without posting it, I closed it. So while closing, it gives me a message that, okay, this document is not posted. Do you want to close? Now, it can be frustrating for few of the client that, okay, why this message is coming from me? I don't want this message. This is one extra click for me. Every time I'm editing, because I need to edit one document multiple times. And when I do this, because let's say your client has 100 of items in one single S or PO, and every time they're going somewhere, they're closing it, it's giving them this pop-up. So we have the option to enable and disable this pop-up, as well as we have the flexibility that I can customize it as per my requirement that, okay, this notification should come only for sales invoice, Or let's say this notification should come only for a sales invoice having payment terms XYZ. So first thing, we can enable, disable a notification, and also we can put conditions on notifications. But I have never seen this being utilized, not at least with the filters. So today I'll just show you a quicker demo for my notification part. Okay, so simply go to search bar, go to my notification. Okay, here you can see the list of all the notifications available here. Okay, all these means enable, and here we have the conditions to put. For example, confirm marking booking as invoiced, item availability is low. You can see discover line items in Outlook. These are something related to the add-ins for Outlooks, and even with Teams, we have these notifications. Now, the common one, for example, we see is customers credit limit. This is the most common one, and also one of the thing I believe is which I have personally seen, and many of the project that client has particularly asked that, okay, please remove this one. And then I have seen consultants going to developers at how to remove this, but it is very simple to do. Here, I have searched on this keyword, and here we have the notification warn about unposted documents. If you want to know what it actually does, what is the purpose of this notification, you click on it. Okay, and it will tell you the purpose. Show warning when you close a document that you have not posted. Okay, so currently it is not enabled. First, let me enable this and show you what happens. Okay, and let me remove all the filters from here. Okay, so no filters currently. Okay, and I'll go to a sales order. I will open it, and you can see I have the header and line details. If you don't have the line details, then if you close, then you will not get this notifications, because system knows that, okay, you don't have anything to post. So the system will understand and they will not give you any notification. But if I have the header and line details updated, and if I click or escape, then the document has been released. Okay, sure. Okay, this is one another notification which is in place, which is enabled. Okay, I'll show you which one is this. I should want to exit. So this is telling that the document has not been released. You want to exit. I'll tell yes. And that this is the one which I was trying to show in the demo, but uh, the other one, the other notification was also enabled. So you see two notifications. One is telling that, okay, you haven't released a document, you want to escape. And the second one is you haven't posted it, you want to exit. So both are there. And if I do all the time as a user, then I will not feel right and I want it to be removed. Now I'm getting this one, I click on yes. Now I'll go back to my notifications and I'll try to remove it from here. So the one was unposted. I'll disable it. And the other one was something related to release. Okay, so one about unreleased orders. This was the other one. So I'll disable it as well. And now let's check what happens. Do we get any alert or not? What we have done in the setup, we should not be getting any alert. Let me exit this page, and you can see we are not getting any alert. Now my requirement is I want this alert, but not on sales document, only on sales invoice. Okay, so in that case, let's do this. I'll go to my notification. Let's search it quickly, enable it, and under conditions. Now here you can put any number of conditions you want. Whatever fields are available on the sales header table, all those conditions you can put. And this is the good part about Business Central, that whenever we go even to reports, it gives filter for all the tables available on that particular report or page. In this case, this is the sales header, so it is giving me everything about sales header. Okay, now These are default added. I don't need this. I need to put it on invoice only. So I have to apply a filter on document type. I can search here document. Okay. Okay. Sorry. This is the wrong filter here. Document type. Okay. And I can select only invoice. If you want invoice as well as quote, you can do this here. I click on OK. Now you can see that it is enabled, but for only document type invoice. Now, if I go to any invoice, sales invoice, let me open this one. I have the line details. Let me exit this page. Now you can see I have this, but I will not get this on sales order now. So have a look to all the notifications, whatever is available in the system, understand what it does so that whenever you are presenting a demo to the client, you can quickly say that, okay, you don't want this, let me disable this. Because if you do these kind of things, personalize as per the user requirement, as per the client's requirement, then it becomes easily sellable. So I'm not a marketing guy, but just a tip for you. Okay, now I'll quickly move to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So receipt on invoice slash shipment on invoice. Always keep it on. And I believe I have released a blog on this almost a year ago. But again, I believe this is something which need to be told again and again. This is very important. And if we don't do this, what happens? Receipt on invoice. Now this is purchase and payable setup. Here we have a Boolean called receipt and invoice. Similarly, we have on the sales and receivable setup, shipment and invoice. Whenever I ask this question, people say that, okay, the purpose of this field is whenever you post an invoice, the receipt should be automatically created. Because when we start from sales order or from purchase order, we create the shipment or receipt from those pages. But what if I'm not going to create sales order or purchase order? I'm a client who always uses invoice. In this case, the feature of this field is what it enables is whenever I post an invoice, let's say a sales invoice, posted shipment should get created. And whenever I post a purchase invoice, posted receipt should get created. Okay. We are able to understand that it is creating one additional document, which we used to have when we created from purchase order or from sales order. But this is what it does. But the question is why it is needed, why we are generating one extra document, because this was the answer from one of the consultant and the client cross question that, okay, if I'm creating an invoice, why do I need this receipt? I don't want this. And the person said that if you don't own this, then item ledger entry will not be created. This is the misconception and one of the common answers I have got. This is not that. Even if there is no post test shipment or receipt, you will get the item ledger entry and hence you will get the inventory. The only difference is in the item ledger entry, the document number will be of invoice, not of post test shipment and receipt, because we are not creating it. Now, receipt on invoice, we are keeping this on. Why I'm telling it, let me show it. So I'll go mostly item charges we apply through a purchase invoice. Let's say I purchase something in 100 rupees, and then after a week I got another invoice mentioning that, okay, 10 rupees was freight or handling charges or whatever. So I need to apply that. And usually what we do, we go to a purchase invoice, we put a item charge, and we apply on that posted purchase receipt. And this is the answer to why you should keep it always on, because item charges are always applied on posted purchase receipt lines if you talk about the purchase side, and similarly on the sales side. Okay, let me show you quickly. I'll create a new one. Here we take the item charge, type as item. Let's say 1 and 10 rupees. We go to line, we go to related information, we go to item charge assignment. Now on the purchase side, what usually we do, we go to get receipt lines. And here, if you see purchase receipt lines, this is this table. If you see, now I don't have here any posted purchase document, but here if you see the table, which is purchase receipt line, okay, and this is the exact table when we post a purchase invoice, or let's say purchase order, and then we post the receipt, then we get a posted purchase document, then it has header and lines. And one to one is the table for all the items of the posted purchase receipt. So if we don't have a posted purchase receipt, then where we can apply the charges, we will not be able to do so. So if anybody asks you that, okay, why I need to keep this on, the answer should be, if you want to apply any charges after you have posted the document, then you have to keep this on if you're using only invoice. If somebody is using, let's say, from the sales order and the purchase order, then this scenario doesn't stand. But if you're using invoice, sales invoice and purchase invoice directly, keep this on, because applying charges after the document has been posted is one of the most common scenario. Let's say your client says, no, we never apply charges once the document is posted. Then keep it off, because one of the advantage will be an extra document will not be created. Right now, if I create 1 lakh posted invoice, 1 lakh posted purchase receipt will also be created. And if you are on SaaS tenant on cloud, then you have to keep in mind the database size as well. So in most of the scenarios, you have to keep it on, because most of the client needs to apply item charge after the document has been posted. But if somebody is very clear to you that, okay, we never do this, then keep this off, because that will save them some space in the database. Okay, so this is the plain and simple answer for this. I'll quickly move to the next one. Okay, use browser's capability to search fields faster. I have personally felt this in my initial days when I used to give uh, trainings and even demos on Business Central, that it was a bit difficult to find the actions. And right now, also on the Business Central part, in many updates, we have seen that they are optimizing it. They are making it easier for the actions to be there. Even in the recent updates, they have made customizing the line actions as well available for all. Earlier, it was not like that. So you must have seen that we have many collapsible actions, and under one action, there are multiple actions and sub actions. And unlike Nav, we don't have any ribbon structure. And ribbon structure, like we have in Excel, everything is there in front of you in small icons. This is not the case now. So what if we are having a customer card or an item card in which we have a lot of fields, and we are trying to, the customer has asked about a particular thing we want to show, and we are just scrolling and clicking on show more in all the fast tabs. This happens. So in this case, what to do, this is one of the simplest trick which I am using in my daily life to search many fields. It makes the work faster for me. I'll show you on a very simple trick. I believe that anybody can think of this. And I'm not utilizing any capability from Business Central part. I'm utilizing the capability from the browser. So let's say I am on item card. Okay, I'll open an item. Now here, the first thing is we have multiple fast tabs, and also we have option of show more. Okay, and there are multiple fields, a lot of fields here hidden as well. And the client has asked about, okay, sales unit of measure. Now instead of looking into, okay, and which one is this, and then clicking on show more, just press Control F and type unit. And the good part is, wherever it finds the unit, it's as simple as searching in any web page. For example, it has 11 results. Now one is highlighted here, one is unit volume, one is unit cost, one is unit price, purchase unit of measure. Okay, this is what I wanted to find. I have it here because it highlights for me. So if I'm in a rush, I'm quickly presenting something, this becomes quite easier for me. Okay. So this is one of the simple feature which I use personally in my daily life, and I'm interacting with Business Central, and I think you should do as well. Okay. Now, quickly moving to the next step. Okay, this is performance tips. Now, we all use Business Central. And when we used to have NAV and we used to face some issues, okay, that this card is opening slow and the general ledger entry has a lot of data, it is opening slow. What we used to do, we used to go to the infrastructure team and say that, okay, I believe that you have to increase the RAM or the size, I don't know, but you have to do something. It's not something that as a functional consultant, we can think that, okay, I don't know what is wrong here. We can see that, okay, maybe the data is large, but the system should be capable to handle large data. But when we move to Business Central from on premises to cloud, the major challenge is to keep up with the pace of what we have on the on premises. If you Google that, what is the advantage of on premises over cloud system, the first thing will come that, okay, on premises systems are faster. Yes, it will be because it is not on a browser and it is stored locally, so it will be faster for you. But on the other side, having a system on cloud has a lot more pros than cons. So definitely everybody will move to cloud. And it has, Business Central has in background Azure capabilities, everything is in Azure. So definitely moving to cloud is a big thing, is a big advancement. But one problem which we face it, sometimes it might get slow and we don't know the reason. Now, I'll tell you a few tips. If you keep those in mind, you will have an optimized system. And it is available on the official page of Microsoft as well. And even I was not aware of this. I believe a week or two, week before, I was just looking for a few things on how to optimize it, and I found these articles, and these articles are regularly updating. So few points I was aware, but few points I was not aware. For example, the first thing, browsers and page caching. Here you can see Microsoft Edge, we have the caching available. In Chrome also we have. But in Safari and Firefox, it is partly available. So now, first thing, okay, what does it do? Why do we need to have a cache? Uh, how does it helps us? In simple terms, I'll say if you load a page for the first time, forget about if it is Business Central or anything. Let's say you're opening LinkedIn for the first time, then it captures the basic page structure and stores it in the cache. It is some kind of memory, you can say small memory, and it will store it in this, so that when the next time you open this, the whole page structure will not load because it is already there in the memory. It will just get the latest data, and this will make the page loading faster for you, will get the page faster. And this is the advantage. If you're using LinkedIn, it's fine if it takes time. But if you are having a professional ERP, a business application, then this is uh, very much needed. So first thing which you need to do is make sure that you're using Microsoft Edge or Chrome. If some people are using Safari, Firefox, and again, Edge legacy, nobody will use because it's going to be deprecated. Internet Explorer, definitely no. It's no more exist. But I believe Firefox is one of the popular browsers, and Safari, again, everybody in Mac, they're using Safari. So you have to make sure that either they use Microsoft Edge or Chrome, because this cache, this is available fully in these two browsers, which is not the case in Safari and Firefox. And now you know why this cache is important. Okay, so this is first tip. Second tip, which is very common, but even I was not aware of it, and it is important. If I'll say that, okay, when you are giving demo to the client, make sure that you plug in your system. Now you will say that, okay, because might be I'm not able to keep a track of where my battery percentage is in, and it will switch off. No, this is not the case. Yes, this is one of the things very important, but here what I'm referring to is when you are having the power on for your system, then it enhances the capabilities. For example, I'll read it out for you, that newer browsers and operating systems are better at handling resources such as memory, network, and storage. Some devices will automatically limit resources available to the browser when running on battery power. For example, in Windows, we have battery saver mode. Don't switch it on because it will limit all these resources, the memory and storage for the system running, for the browser running, and this system is running in browser, and it will limit the capabilities. So battery saver is nothing but it reduces few things and it will save power. That's it. So consider keeping laptops and similar devices plugged into power source. So If you are in your office testing something, it's fine. But if you are giving demo to the client, make sure that your device is always plugged in, because there the speed will matter. They're looking at the system for the first time and they're deciding whether to take this or not. Okay, so this is second performance tip. I'll move to the next one. Now, we know which browser to use. We know that we need to plug in the power. And let's say I have logged into the system. I have a lot of data. Now, what are the things I should keep in mind? Now, I'll tell few points which I have written here, that by default system is taking care and loading the pages faster. And if somebody asks you that, okay, uh, how the system is being designed to be faster, then you can tell these things to the client or even to the consultants. That, for example, consider any list page. For example, let's say I have customer ledger entries, general ledger entries. These tables normally have lakhs and lakhs of data. But whenever you open this page, on the click, these pages doesn't load all the data. This is, I believe, what in earlier days Facebook did. And that's now that's why it is very fast and all those things, and it is called infinite scrolling. Okay, and similarly we have here, they call it infinite scrolling. They in Microsoft haven't named it in particular, but what it does, they load the data in batches. So when you scroll, then it load the second segment of data. Here, if you see this line, list pages load records in small batches while the user scrolls through the list, allowing it to scale to large tables. Assuming if you click and you want 2 lakh, 10 lakh of rows, then the system will become slower. So this is something which the system is already doing. Okay. And this I have already talked about, the overall structure of page, which is related to cache. Now, if you are into the system and if you are a user, what you can do so the system becomes faster for you. The first thing is by collapsing secondary content that may be needed only occasionally. Example, fact box span. Now, let me go to a document here. Uh, even if you go to this one, I'm not sure that it has a lot of data or not. Okay, let me show you something which has some data. Okay, here we have, I'll go to, let's say, a sales order. Okay, I don't have it. Let me go to this US instance because here we have few data. Okay, let's say I'm going to this one. Now, when I click on this, usually what happens, the first time when you click on any document, it opens like this. Okay, it doesn't open like this. Because when I open this, I have collapsed it intentionally so the system understand that, okay, from the next time, I will open this page with fact box collapsed. Now, this is, as mentioned in the PPT, this is secondary content. When you try to create a sales order, everything is there what you need to know. Okay, if you need to see, okay, I need to few analytics to data to better design the sales order, then you can go here. But make sure once you open this for the first time, let's say if you're a user, you collapse it because it loads the data. For example, post a sales shipment. So it has to go to this table, post a sales shipment, and go to a particular quantity table, do the see here from available credit limit to availability. Availability is something which it needs to calculate as per a particular formula. Okay, so these are some resource extensive areas here. So fact box is of very use, but make sure it is something which takes a lot of resources. So you should keep it collapsed always. Also, let's say if I'm creating a sales order, there are a lot of fields. For example, campaign number. Okay, I'm not using CRM. I don't need it here. Opportunity. I'm not using CRM. I'm not need it here. But I have not seen in practice that people are removing these fields when they deliver this instant to the client. But what you could do is you should remove these fields, whatever is not needed for the client, because it will make the page execution faster. You simply have to go to personalize, and all these things which I'm talking about is from a functional perspective, because a functional consultant who is even a newbie in this can do this. Okay, it's taking update in background. So for that, I might need to refresh. Yep. Again, talking about updates, I believe this is one thing which can be taken as a tip, that decide a update window for you, because this is something which I just use for myself. So decide a update window for you if you're giving presentation to the client, because otherwise, like Windows starts taking updates suddenly, this can start taking updates as well. But you have the option to decide a window for it. I'll show it some other day, but just now it came and struck that okay, this is something which we can do. Okay, so you have to go to personalize, click on field. Oh, sorry, no need to click in field because you don't want to add anything currently. I'll close it. Okay, if you go to any field here, you will see a red arrow. Let's say I want to remove camp and I click on this. I'm going to remove. Okay, campaign is removed. Now let's say if you see this is show list. When we open the page, it is always like this. And if you click on show more, then the page will open like this. But you have to make sure that whatever fields you are using to create this document should be under this. This is called promoted. If you talk from the technical point of view, the property, it is called promoted fields. So I don't need all these fields to update. These fields are getting automatically updated when I select the customer. So the first thing is whatever field is not needed, just remove it. And something which is needed, don't keep it under show more. Okay, how to do it? Let's say, let me check what fields are not there under promoted. Okay, so, okay, I have one field here. Let's say responsibility center assigned user ID. I want it under, I'll go and I'll click on show when collapsed. Okay, now you can see here it is there. If you want to remove it, show under show mode. So these are the two things which you can do here. First thing is remove the fields which are not needed as at all. And second thing, if the fields are needed and are important fields, for example, let's say the external document number, the requested delivery date, the posting date, then keep this under promoted or show less in terms of what Business Central is showing here. Okay, now I'll click on done. And also fact box, as they utilize more resources, keep it collapsed in all the pages. Okay, so this is what it is saying here. By hiding secondary content entirely from the page, for example, hiding roles, enter paths, or columns, they're not used by the user. Also, the similar thing, what you have done on a document, on an item card, on a list page, similar things you can do here on the rule center page. There are a lot of things. When you open this page, there are a lot of things. You can see that these amounts, all these figures took few seconds, 2 to 3 seconds to load. Now, what if, let's say this is not needed. All these actions are here as not needed. I can just do the same thing. I can go to personalize and I can remove all these things. Okay, remove. So I can do this even for the role center pages. So in a nutshell, whatever is needed, keep it. Whatever is not needed, remove it. And whatever you need to be on the top of the page, keep it, because mostly we log into the system and as a user, we create different transactions, different masters. And that is where we feel that, okay, something is not working correctly, or the progress is slow for the creation of that particular documents. In that case, we should always make sure that before delivering to the client, we do these 3 to 4 things so that the client always have an optimized experience related to this. Okay, I'll quickly move. I believe this should be the last one. Yes. Okay. So invoice posting policy in nav. Whenever somebody says that, okay, I want to create a permission set which should restrict the posting of an invoice. So I have to create a permission set for that because there are no other provisions for that. Even on the purchase side, on the sales side, if I need to restrict some posting, I have to create a permission set. And like another other permission sets, we can do it. That's not a problem. We can restrict the posted purchase invoice table, let's say insert permission, and that will occur. But again, this is something in which we have to create additional permission sets. Here what we have seen, and for this even a few of the European clients, I have seen that they have customized it, and now we have this by default available in the system. If you go on the user card, we will see two new fields, and this is on the latest update, which is 2023 wave 1, and this is now generally available. So if you go on user setup, you will see two fields: sales invoice posting policy, purchase invoice posting policy. Now, just to get a quick snapshot what it does. Now, if there are three values on those fields, these are drop downs: allowed, prohibited, mandatory. Allowed is the default value. Whenever you open user card for any user, the default value, the first value will be allowed. Now, basically what it does is it keeps the current behavior of the system, which if you click on post, let's say I'm creating a purchase order. If I click on post, I get three options. I get receive an invoice. Similarly, on the sales side, ship an invoice, three options. Now, if I keep this, the default system behavior will prevail. If I keep it prohibited, then it will prevent the user from posting invoices. It means I will not get the option to post invoice. Instead of that page, I'll get only an alert that, okay, do you want to post the receipt or the shipment? Let's say if you're on the sales side. So prohibited means it is actually blocking the invoicing part. And mandatory means for the user, it is mandatory to post the receipt and invoice on the purchase side and shipment and invoice on the sales side together. Mandatory means, again, I'm repeating, you have to post both the documents together. You cannot post one document before and the another one, the invoice one, later. Okay, if you keep it mandatory. Now let's see it in reality how it happens. I'll go to user setup. Okay, I'm the user admin. Here I have marked it as mandatory. Now let's keep it as allowed and allow the default behavior, and let's see what happens. So this is a sales order. If I want to post it, what I'll do, I'll click on posting. I'll click on post. Shipment and invoice. Okay. Just one thing we need to keep in mind, that sometimes it doesn't refresh us. So you have to refresh it. As you just saw that I changed it, but it didn't get refreshed. Still showing me the old behavior. That was for mandatory. Let me refresh it and check the settings again. So when you check a feature in reality, you can see these things. And one more thing related to the previous one, which I forgot to mention, I have not mentioned it here, that never, it is related to this one actually, cache, that never use private windows or incognito mode for using Business Central, because in this case, you will not get this. You will not get the advantage of cache and browsers. Also, not only incognito or private window, don't use the browser as guest. It means please log into the browser, have a profile created. For example, if you see here, this is my profile. I have logged in with this. This is personal. If you log in, if you don't log in, you will get it as guest. So if you log in as a guest, then also you will not get the advantage of cache and browsers. So also keep these two things in mind, because I have seen many a times people using private and incognito mode, because I don't know, somehow they think that the performance is better in it, but it's not. Okay, moving back to posting invoice posting policy. I hope my browser has refreshed. Yes, I'll go. to my, first I'll check again in my user setup the setting. Okay, it is allowed. Now I'll go create a sales order. I'll try to post it. Okay, now you can see that like usual, we used to get three options in nav. Similarly, we're getting three options here. Allowed means the default system behavior will prevail. Now let me click cancel and let me change in user setup from allowed to prohibited. And prohibited, it means we are not allowed to post the invoice. If we are on the sales side, we can post only shipment. If we are on the purchase side, we can only post receipts. Now, if I don't know whether it is refreshed or not, let me check. Okay, now it's refreshed. So you can see that I'm not getting those three radio buttons now. I'm just getting alert, which is telling me, do you want to post the shipment? Yes or no? It means they have replaced that page. When you keep this the option, if you change the option, then that page is removed basically, and you get this alert. And it says, do you want to post the shipment? For now, I'll click on no. Now let's check the third behavior, which is mandatory. Mandatory for though we are checking for sales side. So even if we keep it as allowed, it doesn't matter for me. Okay, now let's try to click on post. Do you want to post the shipment and invoice? This is important, shipment and invoice. Okay, now it is asking me that you want to post shipment and invoice together or not. So in that case, I'm not getting any option to post shipment before and then the invoice letter, or the three radio buttons which we got in the first instance. Okay, so this is something which is a very small feature, and personally in my recent implementation, I deleted few permission sets because now I have this feature in the latest update. So I believe this was the last tip for me. And yes, these are all the documents in which this feature is available. Basically, from wherever you can post a sales invoice or purchase invoice, that feature will make sense. That feature has to be here. So sales order, return order, purchase, returns, warehouse shipments, inventory, picks, and putaways. On these documents, this feature is available. So that's all for the day, I believe. Now, if you have any question, we can move to the question then.
Gulshan, that was a very wonderful session. Thank you so much for presenting this topic, because I know if anybody is starting with Business Central, these are the things one should know beforehand. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much for presenting this one.
Thank you.
I do have one question for you. I have heard this, while I interact with many clients.
Mhm.
Is the Business Central more suitable for small to medium sized businesses, or it's okay to use it for an enterprise level organization as well?
See, if you go to how Microsoft has positioned it, because if you have two different cars, if you have, let's say, Desire, and if you have Audi as well, you will say that, okay, if you need to go to high level meetings and hotels, I'll go and use my other car. If I need to go somewhere whether I need a good mileage, I'll use that car.
Right.
Similarly, how Microsoft has positioned it, I have seen Business Central, it is targeted for SMB. This is official from Microsoft. And if you want to go to big size companies, then you have to know finance and operations. This is what I have seen in documentation, but this is what I have not seen in practice. Even the client which I'm currently implementing, this is the second largest manufacturer of alcohol. It is available in more than 110 countries. And surprisingly, other than US countries, all over Europe and sub-Saharan African regions, everywhere, earlier NAV was in use, and now we have Business Central. So in practice, I have not seen that Business Central is being used, or NAV for that purpose is being used only in SMBs. Let's say a few features are not there. For example, there's a, let's say, bank, for example, there's letter of credit or export. So these things, let's say, are not there in Business Central. But if a client needs it, they just ask for a customization and that got it delivered. So overall, they get what they want, and they have to
Mhm,
keep in mind the price tag as well. So officially, I will see that Microsoft definitely, because they have FNO as well, so they have positioned it as something which is
mhm,
targeting SMB. But in
mhm,
practice, I have personally implemented it for many big clients, and that raises even a question for me that, okay, is this so?
mhm,
Because it is it is capable to handle large sets of data, and it has all the functionalities which is needed. So yes, uh, you can see both answers from Microsoft and in practice.
mhm. No, that makes sense. I mean, my I mean, I myself have not worked much on Business Central, so I don't know
Hmm.
the scope. But when I got asked this question, I had to do a little research, and then,
Uh-huh.
based on the documentation itself, I came to the conclusion that okay, it's for small to medium businesses
Correct.
only. But
Hmm.
now that we can do customizations and whatever we need,
Hmm.
I think I'll have a better answer next time. Thank you so much.
A pleasure is mine.
And as for the chat, I don't see any questions
Hmm.
right now, but we are streaming this live on YouTube. So many of
Okay.
our viewers, they view the video after
Videos.
the
Uh-huh.
meetup is, completed. So if there are any questions, I have shared your social media credentials on the chat here. People can reach out to you.
Okay, perfect. No problem. I'll be happy to answer their queries. And Ritika, and yes, thanks a lot for inviting me. It was my honor to be here. Thank you.
No. Thank you so much, Gulshan.
Thank
All
you.
right. Mhm.
Hmm.
So, with that, everybody, that was Gulshan Shubham. Is a Microsoft MVP and MCT, and I would say an expert on Business Central and Dynamics 365 Nav. So, if you have got any questions related to Dynamics 365 Business Central or Nav, please do reach out to him, and I'm sure he'll be happy to help you.
Sure.
Okay, so
Okay,
thank
so
you.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. I hope I will cross our paths again. So thank you.
Definitely. Okay. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. We will meet again next month for our July meetup. Till then, if you have any questions, you can post it on our user group page, or you can reach out to me, Yash, or any other member in the group. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day. Have a nice weekend.
Bye bye. Thanks, everyone.